Well, hello, everybody. Trucker Todd here, and time for Tuesday Trucker Talk, which is also sometimes known as Technical Tuesday. It may be that way tonight. We've already had a few little issues, but so far, I think I've got everything fixed. I think we'll be good for tonight. Hope everybody had a really good Labor Day weekend. I'll tell you all about mine. I was at home, sort of. Anyway, some of you have been waiting a long time. I was tied up doing background stuff, trying to avoid Technical Tuesday. Let me go up here and say hello to some people. So I don't think we've ever had this happen before. We had a four-way tie for the first people in here today. And all four of them are good friends of mine. It was Tim back, Ramon, Ted, and Roger all signing in at 4:30. And so hello to all of you. Roger said he's having to tap out, that he delivered in Grand Prairie this morning or today, and has a Davenport, Iowa load for tomorrow. So he needs to get some rest. He's north of Kansas City right now, and he's going to watch the replay. I appreciate that, Roger. Hope you get a good night's rest. Also, my good friend Chris is here. Good evening, sir. Thank you for coming in. And another good one, Wesley Baxley is here. Thanks for coming in, man. Let's see here. Yes, Brian says, hello, hope everyone enjoyed their Labor Day. Yeah, mine, so I didn't even know this was possible. I happened to be in Lubbock. I did a little short load down to Midland, came right back because there just really wasn't a whole lot until Tuesday. And it turned out my grandson, the epileptic one, had 24 seizures in one day. And if you're thinking that's unbelievable, me too. I didn't even know that was possible. I witnessed several of them. And so I spent a lot of time at the Children's Hospital in Lubbock over the weekend. And then my aunt, who that we were all praying for last week, that had part of her foot amputated, was still recovering in the hospital, as you would suspect. And I went by there a couple times as well. She was supposed to have some more kind of surgery, exploratory type stuff today. And the doctor got called away on another one. And so they're probably going to have to postpone it until sometime later this week. So, there's two ways to look at it. Nobody enjoys spending time in the hospital. But like the owner of the company I work for said earlier today, when he called me, at least I was there and not hearing about these things secondhand from out here on the road. So if I get any updates on any of these situations, I'll share them with you. But that's kind of where things stand right now. Truck's running good. As you notice, I don't have the insurance guy on tonight. I've just decided for the time being that I don't want to go forward with that with him. I may change my mind in a few weeks, or I may find a replacement. But as for now, I didn't want to do it, especially the day after or a couple of days after a holiday, depending on if you count the weekend or just Monday. But definitely yesterday was a holiday. But anyway, I'm rambling now. Let's say hi to a few more people. I hate when y'all have to wait 30 minutes to hear from me. And I called a guy today that he's been waiting 3 or 4 days to hear from me. So he was patient with me, didn't chew me out. I appreciated that. Truckers are the hardest working people out here, and we don't even get Labor Day off. Well, I took it off. It wasn't really planned, but I took it off. But I like to think that we work hard so others can enjoy welfare. But yeah, that stinks if you have to work on holidays. I hate working on holidays and my birthday, but in this market, sometimes we got to do it. My Uncle Ray is here, Racing Ray. What's up, Todd? Not much. Thank you for stopping by tonight. And Anthony Fisher's here, the guy I talked to earlier on the phone today. How you doing, my friend? Good evening, Kevin Snaps. Thank you for being here. Man, your picture looks familiar, like I know you from somewhere. OTR Vic is here. Good evening, Todd. Good evening, OTR Vic. Hal Young is here. So this load here picked up in Plainview, and it's going to Pueblo, Colorado, and it's like $270 a mile. I've got another one after this that goes up to Wyoming, and I want to say it's about the same. It's not a real long load, 200 and something miles, but yeah, it's been okay. It's not, I'm not going to come on here and tell you it's recovered and things are great. I found out earlier today that my revenue for the month of August, gross revenue, was $25,300, and I thought that was decent for a dry van in this market. Definitely not record setting, but not terrible either. Checking in from Fargo, North Dakota, 60 and rainy already. Man, Travis, I would love to be somewhere where it was 60 degrees. My wife was at work today, and somebody came in and told her that it was 107 there. Now, that's hearsay. I don't know if it's true or not, but I bet it's not far off. Ted's here, but driving. Good deal, my friend. Just be careful out there. And Joe Bananas is here. Peace, man. Thank you for being here. Gary Cook says, good evening. Good evening, Gary Cook. Thank you for being here. Roger says, prayers for your grandchild. I appreciate that. Thank you for being here. I thought you'd already gone to sleep. I'm glad you hung around. I'm in Grand Island, Nebraska this evening. I was looking at some loads on the load board going to Nebraska. Almost headed that way, might still. Hey, Todd, comma. Hello from northern Arizona on my way. All right, well, be careful out there. I think he meant Sin City. Nope, I missed it. He's Music City. There you go. Ramon says he quit his job on Friday, got tired of not making any money, running 3,100 miles a week and getting paid 1,200. Yeah, that's rough. Have you decided where you're going next? No Fear is in Kentucky getting loaded. Yeah, another one of my friends is running short loads around Kentucky. He's got home time scheduled for this weekend, so they're keeping him in the area of Kentucky so they can get him home easy. Just passed my DOT medical. Good deal. You're good for another year or two. Do you have another company picked out, or are you still doing your research? Man, I caught up quick today. Hey, look who's here. Hey, Todd, Christian here. Thanks for coming in, man. He did a live Christian about a week ago. He was on a train, and I'd never been on a train, and he was kind of giving me a tour of his train, his Amtrak. That was pretty cool on his live. So thank you for that. He says he made it. Yes, sir. I appreciate you being here. Oh, Ted says lots of prayers for your grandson and your aunt. I appreciate it, and I know they do too. Thank you for that. Amtrak was really awesome. Yeah, it was cool. I'm not aware if there's any Amtraks near where I live, but it'd be fun to try one time. Getting my truck ready, '07 International, be ready in a month. There you go. Take it. So you're going to take that month off, or you got some stuff to do on the side while you're waiting? And has that '07 got a Cummins, or has it got the International engine? Praying for your family, Todd. I appreciate that. I wanted to apologize. I know some of you have been trying to reach me. You've had trouble reaching me, and normally it's not as difficult as what it's been the last few days. That's why I went ahead and in the little ticker below the video, I put John Toohey's stuff there one more time. If you have trouble reaching John Toohey, because he's a driver, he's working hard like we are, reach out to me and I'll get you guys in contact, and he can tell you more about GP Transco. If you sent me a message and I didn't respond to you, either through the website at truckertodd.net or at the email todd@truckertodd.net, and I didn't respond to you, shoot me another message and I'll get back to you. I really dropped the ball on a lot of stuff this past week. That's what I would say about that, but I'll try to catch up as quick as I can. I'm not up to date on the news or what's going on in the world. If y'all got any stories you want to tell me about, then I can react to them on here. Or if you want to tell me about your Labor Day weekend, we can all talk about that as well. Ramon says he's taking a month off. Man, that must be nice. I'm going to be taking some time off in the coming weeks, but I don't know the exact day yet, or at least I think I am. There'll be more details about that to follow in the coming days and weeks. ISX, so you got a good one then. That truck ought to be a moneymaker. What all are they doing to it right now? Okay, there's the link to Christian's live where he's on the Amtrak and he kind of shows me around the train. If you've ever wondered what it's like on an Amtrak, or I think he even says the price of his tickets on there, you can go watch that video, and it's pretty interesting, him showing all of that. So if you have an interest in Amtrak trains, go check that out. Oh man, Brian, what we talked about on the phone got fixed, but it was interesting. Now I'm going to be thinking about that and curious the whole show. Rose says, hi, Todd. Hey, Rose, thanks for being here. I would have gone to GP Transco, except they never get to Louisiana. I don't know if they changed things there or not, because when John was on the show the other Tuesday, he said that they go to pretty much, I think he said all 48. There was maybe there was one or two states they didn't go to, California or something. But anyway, his email is in the ticker below my video. You might give him an email and let him look into it for you and see. He may can get you on over there, but you're kind of living the dream right now. So I don't know if you'd want to do that or not. Also, some of you have been asking about the solar powered headset. I'm still wearing it. Touched the wrong side of my head. Still wearing it. Still loving it. It's by far my favorite headset, and I've got several. I've got a Rand McNally. I've got a Road King. I've got several of them, and this is by far my favorite. So this may be one of those situations where you've got to update me, Rose. I haven't heard, like I said, I've been out of the loop at the hospital, stuff like that. I haven't heard about the layoffs at Swift or Coyote. I can tell you, I've had trouble signing into the Coyote app lately. I don't know if the app's having trouble or what, but I need to reach out to them and see if they can help me get into that app. And as for Swift, I haven't heard that. I did have a driver tell me that he was a company driver at Swift, that Swift was wanting to reduce his pay. And so I don't know if that's true or not, just what another driver told me. But it wouldn't surprise me. I know they've made a lot of changes over there since I've left. They are now charging a $2,500 down payment, from what I understand, to get a truck. They are letting you pay it out $100 a week if you need to. But again, I'm hearing all this information secondhand. If Swift is a company you're considering, just contact them and get the information yourself. I don't mind telling you what my experience was like when I was there, but I've been gone a few months and things could have changed. Sounds like a lot of things have changed. And as for Coyote, I hope to have more information about that in the coming days. Not yet, to be honest. I hadn't even started looking yet. I was so busy Labor Day weekend. But I thought about maybe on Thursday, me kind of throwing it out there and seeing who you guys recommend as CPAs, people you have good experiences with, things like that. I got a really good friend that he recommends just getting QuickBooks and doing it yourself. And maybe I'll do that. Maybe I won't. He's had a lot of success with it. The problem is when you're in a mid-year switch like this, it can be really difficult and things can get missed and things like that. So I got to work on getting all my P&Ls printed, things like that. And then I got to either find somebody or take the reins and do it myself. And I thought Thursday, just kind of throwing it out there and letting you guys suggest who y'all recommend. I use Road King and I like it. Yeah, it's not a bad headset. It's really not. I bought the one with the second earpiece, and that thing lasted about a week. So I'll admit it's not built as well as some of the more expensive headsets, the Road King, but it's for the money. It's not a bad headset. This one is about the same price, I think, is what I paid for the Road King, and the build quality is a lot better on this one. And like I say, the link for this one is in the description of the video if y'all are curious about it. And I need to put up a link for the Road King, but I had never done it. I got to do some website work too. Maybe tomorrow I can do some of that since I just got a real short load. Coyote laid off administrative staff, and Swift is doing the same. Well, here we go where I'm going to get myself in trouble. At one point, Swift had more departments than GM. And they do have, in my opinion, an excessive amount of fat that they need to trim. And I mean, they've got, in my opinion, some departments that have nothing to do with trucking that promote diversity and things like that, which I'm not saying they're not important. I'm just saying I don't know if they should be full-time salaried positions. A company their size could probably find companies and organizations that would volunteer for that work. And so especially now that they're part of Knight Transportation, I would think that the two companies could join forces in a lot of departments, and they could cut some overhead. And maybe those departments come back, maybe they don't. When the economy gets better, when there's more revenue to be had, maybe they bring those departments back. But right now, we're living in lean times, and anywhere you can cut an expense, that's what you need to do just to stay afloat. So it's probably wise. I don't know about these brokers, though. How much administrative staff and bloat could you have? I guess there must be a lot if they're trimming some off. They made my dispatcher call me and apologize They gave me 2 days layover pay, and next time this happens, I'm to call my head manager. I even got his personal number, plus more. Too much to talk about. Yeah, give me a call tomorrow, Brian. Tell me all about it. But I'm happy. I'm happy you got it worked out. Oh yeah, see if you can share it to the Trucker Todd Facebook page, or email it to me at todd@truckertodd.net, and I'll post it. I'd like to see that article, and I'm not sure if I've got you on Facebook or not. Shark Buzz says going for a road test tomorrow. Life after yellow. Well, you'll ace it, man. One thing about LTL carriers, and I never thought about it till I heard another guy mention it on YouTube. They bump so many docks a day that when there's these trucking competitions, they almost always win. So I know that if Shark Buzz was at Yellow for a good length of time, he's probably a great driver. He'll probably ace his road test tomorrow, and hopefully he's found another company where he can land on his feet. And they'll be a good outfit. One thing that I've noticed is, and I'm not talking about any specific company. Well, I am, but it's not one we've mentioned so far. Is since the economy's taken a downturn, companies have got a lot more shifty. Um, I saw a video today of a driver went to orientation at a company, and you should have seen the condition of the truck that they were going to put him in. And I mean, trash everywhere, rotten food. And they told him, take it or leave it. We don't care. So he ended up quitting during orientation. Just one more reason I like having my own truck, so that if it's nasty like it is right now, there ain't nobody to blame but me. I got to get the vacuum cleaner out, vacuum it, and do some straightening up. Tim Back is fueled up. Gonna drive now, listening. Hey, are you, I don't know if you can answer me, Tim. I meant to call you today. If you're going to be awake a while, I'll call you later. I'm just wondering if you're doing our secret West Virginia run. The CEO and some other people took 20% cut. Yeah, no, I did hear about that. And I think that's pretty admirable, honestly. I mean, some of the skeptical people are going to say, oh, they make plenty of money. It ain't hurting them none. I don't care who you are. If you're making minimum wage or you make $200 an hour, somebody takes 20% of your pay, you feel it. And, to me, when a CEO takes a cut like that, it just tells you they're a team player and they're trying to help the company succeed. And so I'm not going to throw any mud on them for doing that. If you're going into Colorado, make sure you're carrying your snow chains. Yeah, great point. Glad you brought that up. I've got my socks out there. They're never going to touch the ground, but I got them. But it's a good reminder for everybody. I usually put a video out prior to September. And like I said, I just dropped the ball this year. But you guys, if you're going through Colorado, make sure you meet the requirements for, well, pretty much every state has some type of requirement. Make sure you learn the requirements for the state you're going through. $1 for me and another $1 for me. Well, there you go. And the next two for me. Oh, that's funny. All right, what else you guys got tonight on your mind? Anybody do anything really cool for Labor Day? Labor Day snow in Salt Lake. Yeah, did you guys see on the news? I did see this. In Las Vegas, they were having that Burning Man event, and they got flooded big time. And so now it's like they're calling it like a human tragedy, and like people are like really having to camp. They went out there with their campers and were basically glamping, and now they're like flooded in, and it was a big mess out there. Brennan P says, I'm on a new dedicated account. So far, so good. That's awesome, man. Congratulations. Did you know in the state of Colorado, plastic bags are 10 cents per bag? Yeah, I experienced that out in California too. Uh, I went in there and bought some stuff at a large retail store that we're all familiar with. And as I was checking out, they said, would you like this bagged? And I had like $80 worth of groceries. I'm like, yeah, I would like it bagged. They said, okay, how many bags do you want? As many as it takes. And then they told me, oh, it's like, I think it was 10 cents a bag or 25 cents a bag. Then I got mad. I'm like, no, just throw it in the basket. I'll carry it out. I'll carry each individual item out, but I won't come back to this store again. So it's nuts. It's all these blue states doing stupid things. Look, if plastic bags are costing your department store so much money that you're not making a profit, raise the price of everything in the store a penny, and you got enough to cover your bags. Don't punish me at the register by making me pay for a bag that has traditionally been free and costs you a fraction of a penny per bag. They're making a killing off of that. Ramon says, same as California. Yep, it sure is. New Jersey is charging as well. Everyone is going away from plastic to paper. Yeah, I actually prefer paper. I use them for trash bags and stuff at the house a lot, and you can put more in them. And but man, if you want to get a dirty look, go to the grocery store and tell them you want paper instead of plastic. The Sackers hate it, and what they'd all prefer is for you to bring those canvas bags that you can reuse. But I grew up in the paper sack generation, and I actually worked at a grocery store in the small town I grew up in, sacking groceries. And man, I can sack groceries to this day pretty fast in paper sacks. Not near as fast as what I could back then, but I'm decent at it. I think we all need to stop buying, period. Well, we actually need to all spend money right now to get this economy going. But I think we need to be more selective about where we buy, because and if I guess what I should have done is just said, you know what, if you're going to charge me for the bag, I don't want none of the groceries, and walked out and went somewhere else and paid a little more at a convenience store or something like that. But yeah, it's just one thing after another. I walked out of several stores during the mask mandate and even canceled my Costco membership when they tried to get me to mask up, because they're telling me I got to mask up. And a guy walked right by me. I'm not even kidding. He didn't have a mask on, and they didn't say nothing to him. And they said, I said, well, why do I got to mask up and he don't? And they said, well, he might have a health condition. I said, well, how do you know I don't have a health condition? And they said, well, do you? And I said, well, that's none of your business. I don't have to give you my health records. It's none of your business if I've got a health condition or not. But I'm an overweight old guy, so I probably got something. I think they're now like 15 cents in California. Your crazy uncle says carry in your own bag. Well, that's an idea, and that's what they prefer. But those bags are fairly expensive, and up until now we've been getting them for free. Plus, like I was saying, I like using the plastic bags, and I use the plastic bags in the truck as trash cans, and I use the paper bags sometimes at home if I've got quite a bit of trash to throw out, or if I'm cleaning out the truck or something like that. California started the bag charge thing or followed suit long after. Colorado just recently started charging. Yeah, I said this in a video about a year and a half, 2 years ago. All bad ideas originate in California. I really believe that. Almost every stupid idea that government has now seems like it started out in California. I live in Oregon. I've been to a few Walmart stores that now do not provide any bags. Well, then they're kind of really limited in how much you can buy, because unless you just want to wheel it out to your car in the basket and throw it in your car, I don't know. Walmart, Sam Walton, in my opinion, would be very disappointed if he saw how Walmart changed since his passing. I read his book, and he was a really smart man that really cared about his customers. And I just don't feel like corporate Walmart does anymore, but maybe I'm wrong. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that county, but it's in the Cleveland area. 10 cents a bag for plastic bags. Yeah, that's insane. Yeah, I saw that Jimmy Buffett passed away. Hard to believe. I was never a huge fan of his, but it's still, he's definitely made a mark on music. It's a shame to see him go. And how many people tried a margarita for the first time just because of Jimmy Buffett? And I found out that even though he's famous for the song Margaritaville, he actually didn't like margaritas, which I thought was kind of funny. You go to any store, prices are to the roof, and us truckers, we're not making any money. Yeah, that's what I said in the last video. I don't get it. With rates as low as they are, these companies are saving on shipping costs, if nothing else. So why aren't prices coming down? And if prices are going to get elevated, why aren't rates going up? And those are rhetorical questions that I think we all know the answer to. Not to mention that at the truck stop, stuff is already overpriced. Yeah, I wondered that. I was thinking about that the other day. I think every single person in here agrees truck stop prices are inflated. But man, there's a lot of truck stops that don't make it. And I just wonder why. It's like, they're turning a profit, but it's not that hard to find an abandoned or closed down truck stop. And my personal opinion is that part of the thing is, for one, they don't have the mom and pop old style truck stops where you get to know the people, you sit down, you have a nice dinner. They have fast food and unhealthy stuff, and it's expensive. So a lot of drivers have started cooking in their trucks. And secondly, they've quit being truck stops and they've started being tourist stops. So they've got shot glasses and toys and T-shirts. They don't have, the stuff that truck drivers need to be successful out here. And so, man, I went from the West Coast almost all the way across the country one time looking for a Mudflap. And the DOT didn't even mess with you because it was extremely hard to find a Mudflap if you just wanted to put it on yourself. Now, you could go to a TA, Love's, something like that. They'd put it on for you. But in the stores, a lot of them didn't have it. When I'm at home, I go to any store. I always carry my 6 paper bags. That's actually not a terrible idea. Your crazy uncle says, yep. Still homeless. They have not started repairs yet. I'm being patient. What are they telling you? When are they planning to start getting all that stuff done? And how long will it take to do it? For those that don't know, Robbie His house got flooded out. He's got what I would describe as severe water damage, and so they've had to gut his house and redo his house. Japan owns Walmart. That's why they did away with layaway. The kids only get the royalties. I don't know if that's true or not, but it wouldn't surprise me. They still bring it back for certain items during Christmas, though, or some of the Walmarts do. I get the bags free in Florida, thinking going to California, I can sell them for 8 cents. Yeah, and you'll probably make more money doing that than you can driving a truck right now. All right, Miss Limousine LLC. Hey there, all. My good friend there. Thank you for coming in. Yeah, now that's true too. I know a lot of mom and pop gas stations back in the day went belly up when they had to start putting the tanks underground, and there was all these EPA regulations of how it had to be done. You know, if you were a little mom and pop gas station with 2 pumps, you couldn't afford to do all those upgrades and retrofitting and all of that. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if the government was killing a lot of stuff. Who is calling me during my show? I think it's a telemarketer. Have you guys been getting a lot of telemarketing calls? I had one, they called me today. They said, do you have an IRS debt problem? I said, no, I've got a telemarketing problem. Can you help me with that? Cat scales are $13.50 for the first weigh, $4 for reweighing. Truck stop showers are charging $18 to $20. Yeah, I do too. I remember when they were $7, and showers were like, I want to say $5 to $7 as well. And perfect example. Why does any truck stop go out of business when cat scales are $13 and showers are anywhere, let's say 13 to 20? They're making big profits on that. And let's not forget, truck parking is over $20 at a lot of places. So a lot of that is just all profit or almost all profit. And it's got to be waste or something. It's really crazy what's going on right now. But they're doing something right because they squeezed out all the mom and pops. If you go to Walmart DC in Oklahoma, no parking, a $500 fine if you park on the side of the road. Yeah, and a lot of places don't give you grief for those distribution centers. Walmart's another one of them. They used to have a 2-hour window. You could check in. You could check in 2 hours early. Now a lot of them are wanting you to check in an hour early. Some of them are even 30 minutes early. I was at one the other day. They would only let you check in 30 minutes early. And I pulled up there at 40 minutes early, not knowing that. And they made me turn around and come back when it was closer to 30 minutes. I couldn't believe they'd do that over 10 minutes. Even the casino down the street doesn't allow truck parking. Yeah, and that used to be the go-to if you needed a place to park. The casinos always had parking. You could go in there and get a cheap meal, and I mean a really good cheap meal. And I guess pee bottles and poop bags and trash everywhere has made it where they don't even want trucks in there anymore. They're saying no matter how much you lose at the craps table, they don't want your crap in the parking lot. It was last left that I would be scheduled. Well, I already thought they was in your house working on it. Have you heard anything about the water situation at the Panama Canal? No, I haven't. Like I said, I've been out of touch. I was at the hospital for the vast majority of the past 3 or 4 days. And so I'm out of touch. If you can update me, that'll be great. I hope to get caught up and Thursday night be able to talk about some of these things. Also, several of you have suggested that you'd be interested in me doing something political or more news oriented. I got behind on that as well. I'm working on that as well. There's going to be more stuff coming, I guarantee you that. Sad to see Russell's in Springer, New Mexico sold out to TA. Also, Boise Stage Stop is under new ownership. One of their employees told me they will likely close the restaurant. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, if I was a restaurant person, I would build restaurants that had truck parking because let's just be totally honest. Typically, truck drivers have money. Maybe not right now, but typically. And they're always looking for something different to eat than the normal truck stop stuff that's out there. And if you had, say, an Applebee's with truck parking or a Chili's or kind of a mid-scale restaurant, maybe a Fuddruckers or something like that with 10 or 12 parking places, I think you'd do really well. All of the McDonald's that I've seen that have truck parking, they stay busy 24/7, it seems like. Now that's pretty cool. Sam Walton was your third distant cousin. Only reason I said that about Walmart. Oh, so you would know. Man, if you hadn't read his book, it's really good. They don't make them like him anymore. Catskill is the largest scale company in the United States. I don't doubt that one bit. It's, I would say, probably by a large margin. That way, truckers can't find a place to park. Yep, yep. That if you did that, would you have some guys that spent the night there? Yeah, but so what? They're probably going to eat dinner there. They're probably going to eat breakfast there. The sad reality is, no matter how much we preach eating on the truck, cooking on the truck, some guys are never going to do it. And you need good, healthy restaurants out there. I'm reminded of one in Arkansas. I can't remember the exit on I-40. It's like a catfish place, seafood place. And I stop in there and eat sometimes. And they got a decent amount of truck parking, and they're always busy. And I'm just surprised that more restaurants don't follow that pattern. And maybe, hey, let's give the restaurants the benefit of the doubt. A lot of times when you say you're going to build a restaurant in an area, the city's like, yay! And when you say you're going to put truck parking, they're like, never mind. We don't want trucks here. And it's because they think it's 1975. You should have seen when they were building the Love's truck stop in Lubbock, Texas, or trying to. Oh, there's going to be drugs. There's going to be lot lizards. There's going to be this and that. And this ain't 1975. That stuff ain't out there. You want to know where the drugs and the prostitution and all that are in a city, it's usually in the downtown area by the police precincts and all of that. So truck stops are not what they used to be. Are there still some bad ones in some areas? Yeah. But most of us more knowledgeable truck drivers just stay away from those locations. If we got to stop there, we fuel and get out. We don't spend the night there. I-70 Missouri TA exit 205. They have 120 parking lots. Half of them are reserved. Yeah, and it's expensive reserve, like $25, isn't it, Ramon? I don't know. I wrestle with myself about this because the free enterprise part of me says, hey, it's their business. And any way they can maximize their profits, go for it. And the kind-hearted side of me says, yeah, but we're mandated to park and they shouldn't create a barrier to a mandate. So I kind of see both sides of it, but it's frustrating if you come in there at 5 o'clock in the evening, you can't find a parking spot because all these 8 to 5 truck drivers have already took it. I go home for 2 days every 2 to 3 weeks and do a little bit of grocery shopping. It's crazy how much prices increase in that amount of time. Yesterday, I had to pay $9 a pound for ground beef. Isn't that insane? And ground beef used to be the cheap meat. That's what you ate when you was trying to make it to a payday, and now it's $9 a pound. You used to get a really nice steak for $9 a pound. I've been waiting for 5 months to get my house fixed because of the tornado back in April in Shawnee, Oklahoma. I didn't realize you lived in Shawnee. I used to have a cousin that lived there, and I go through there sometimes even now. John Fuller says, "Hey, is Mudflap fuel card a good deal?" I use Mudflap sometimes, so I do. I even have a link in my description for it, where if you fuel in the first 5 days with that link, you get a $10 credit. But here's the deal: um, Mudflap's good sometimes in certain situations. I know some people that use it exclusively. I've found that my ES Advantage fuel card is about 20 to 30 cents cheaper most of the time. Every once in a while, Mudflap would beat it. Will beat it. But here's the deal: instead of doing an all-in on one, I would get several of them and just compare as part of your pre-trip. Plan your fuel route and look and see where it's cheapest, and do that. Also have the NASTIC card. I use it some, and they're all going to have their truck stops where they've negotiated a good deal, or things like that. The more you have, the more options you have. But it's a good alternative Band-Aid if you need a fuel savings right now, besides the one your company offers, and it doesn't cost you anything to compare. Some places I've gone with the NASTIC card, it's no discount at all. It's at pump price, and Mudflap will be 25 or 30 cents cheaper. So in that case, if you've got the money in the bank, it would make sense to do Mudflap. You're crazy, Uncle. I'm on your side, Todd. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. We're starting to get a crowd now. Some of you is late getting here, but I'm glad you're here now. I just want to remind you guys in the little ticker below the video, my email's there. My website is there. Check those things out. Also below this video, you can subscribe. Please do that. It's free to do, and you'll receive a notification when future videos come out. I know y'all get tired of me saying that, but today somebody asked me, "Todd, how do I subscribe?" And that's how you do it. And so also share this video on your social media platforms. You'll see a little deal there that says share. And please do that. That helps the channel. Tell your friends. Get your friends coming on here Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5 p.m. Central. And it'll really help the channel, and it'll mean a lot. And I thank each and every one of you for taking the time to watch tonight. Demolition crew within side of my house. That's all that's been done. So are they going to have to level it and start all over? Or are they going to be able to save some of it? Okay, I got to cheat and look. X183. Let's go up and see Ted's last comment. Ted, I don't know what X183 is, but I appreciate it. Maybe you can elaborate in a minute. Hey, we just had a donation. I'm trying to put it on the screen. Nothing's working. Axel Blackblade with a $5 donation. Thank you very much. Axel's a good person. He's been donating in the replays and in the videos, and now he's doing it on the lives. I appreciate you being here and your contribution. It means a lot, especially in this economy. So thank you very much. Let's go back up and I will try to find where I was at. Maybe Ted will elaborate on X183. Oh, you're at exit 183, I bet. Pothole Pete needs to open up the state truck parking. That's closed down. Oh, that is fighting through Congress. Yeah, that's another thing that really frustrates me. You've got all these closed down rest areas and way stations that not only are they not letting us use, they spent money to put a gate up around them. I've said this in other videos. Put a dumpster in there, go empty it once a week or two, once every week or two, go dump the dumpster and let trucks park in there. You're not using that space anyway. And it would make the roads safer. And the fact that they won't do that makes me wonder if they really care about safety at all, or if this is all just a money grab. Truck stops need to be more buffet style, not all the fast food crap. I can only eat so much Subway. Yeah, and Arby's and McDonald's. It'd be nice to have a Petro style buffet again. And I kept thinking Petro would bring it back, but they've got us trained now to not expect it. And so it's probably not coming back. You're lucky if you can even find a salad bar that you make your own salad at a truck stop anymore. Wablo is here, my good friend. Not much. We're just hanging out. I was telling everybody about my Labor Day weekend, hoping to hear about some of y'all's, and now we're just doing the normal trucking banter. Feel free to tell us about your Labor Day weekend or whatever else is on your mind tonight. I-10 Ontario, California Petro. I used to reserve the parking over the phone, not anymore. Yeah, and that used to be a rough truck stop back in the day. I hadn't been out there in a while. I don't know how it is now. I use the TA app when I use a reserved parking spot. I also use the app to get my showers. Yeah, I do too. If I get a shower or reserve parking at a TA or Petro, I just do it through the app. And sometimes I go in and get the receipt for the window, and sometimes I don't. They look by your DOT and truck number whether you got the receipt or not. And they email you one you can use for tax purposes. The fuel is so cheap, I've found that Love's and pretty much all the major truck stops are 20 to 30 cents more. I have to pay very close attention to fuel being in the driveway business. You pay for all your fuel, and anything you leave with the customer is lost forever. Once you drop it off, you need to buy just enough to make your run and not a drop more. Yeah, how much does it come with when you pick it up? Is it a full tank when you pick it up, or is it kind of low? Because I can see some situations if you had a half a tank and it was a fairly short run, you might could make it without having to put any fuel. Gary Cook, I'm curious as to why you use TA Petro. I find Love's or Pilot Flying J to be cleaner. I can tell you what he's going to tell you. He probably gets a pretty good fuel discount with the card he uses. But maybe he'll answer us back, but I'll bet that's it. I don't hardly ever go to a Pilot Flying J, but I do sometimes. Good afternoon, Manny. Thank you for being here. You're probably right. That's probably what he's talking about. Your crazy uncle. I don't even remember the exit number. If I heard the name of the restaurant, I'd know if that was it. But they got billboards all up and down I-40, and it's pretty good. It's let me think about this. East of Little Rock a little ways. Also hit that like button. I-49 exit. No, it's on 40, not 49. But yeah, you may be right about the exit number. That sounds about right. The fuel at Love's and pretty much any major truck stop. So I go to Love's, but it's some because I get a pretty good discount with ES Advantage. But with this NASTIC card, I end up at TA Petro a lot. But today I fueled at an Ambest, so I'm not that brand loyal when it comes to fuel. I'm looking for the best deal out there, and that weighs heavier on me. And some people say, well, yeah, but if I fuel at this place, I don't get a free shower. And I'm like, well, if you save more on that fuel than what a shower costs, then just buy one. You're still coming out ahead. If the shower is $15 and you're saving $50, then so what if you got to buy a $15 shower? They towards the walls, the ceiling, and ripped up the floors. Basically, looks like a bunch of studs all over. So they're down to the frame of the house now. Yeah, if you use NASTIC, you're going to spend a lot of time at TA and Petro, which I like their showers. I ain't gonna lie, they probably have the nicest showers overall, but it just depends what fuel card I'm using. I've taken a few Ambest showers. They're generally not as nice, but sometimes they're better than nothing. Sometimes they're not better than nothing though. And I did a video a while back where I showed showers at 3 different Loves. One of them was good, one of them was average, one of them was bad, and was just kind of showing the difference in a video. One of the showers had black mold in it. A guy with a taco truck could make good money at a rest area at night. Yeah, if he didn't get robbed. I try to avoid rest areas because they're not always the safest places to stop. But yeah, you would think you could do pretty good at. I think just the knowledge we have from being truck drivers, I think most of us could do pretty good with a taco truck. Rochelle, Illinois, Petro has their buffet once again. Man, I used to pass through there all the time when I was at Roadrunner, like at least once a week. And I hadn't been up there in a while either. It seems like I'm having a heck of a time getting to the Midwest. But I'm glad you shared that. If I'm back in that area, I'll go check it out. COVID lockdown on all the buffet restaurants. Yeah, and some of them have never got over it. Like we've got a Chicken Express. I don't know about all of them in Lubbock, but we've got a Chicken Express in Lubbock that they still haven't opened the dining room back up. It's drive-through only, and I think that's a little bit overkill. Wow, looky here, another one. Don Wright with a $5 donation. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate that. You guys are awesome. And I'm glad you enjoy the channel. I really am. He says, oh, okay, I understand. Talking about having to use the NASTIC fuel card. Usually 0 on it. Yeah. Let's see here. So usually when you get the trucks, it's empty. So you're going to have to try to guess the fuel economy. That might be kind of fun, but hopefully you don't run out along the way because that could get expensive. But I've picked up some that had some fuel in them. I think some Loves are. It's kind of hit and miss. The thing I don't get about Loves is you'll go into a truck stop and they'll have, say, 5 showers in there or 7 showers, and nobody's taking a shower, but they don't clean none of them. They wait till 3 truck drivers show up wanting a shower, and then they clean them. And by the time they get them clean, there's 10 truck drivers waiting for a shower. Whereas if they had them clean when you got there, it would be a lot more organized and orderly. But I'm not knocking Loves. I do like I do like Love's well. I just think TA and Petro have better showers in most places. I-80 Sacramento is a pilot. You have to pay parking lot. Only pay parking mom and pop's restaurant. Yeah, I've been there before, and I saw two truck drivers almost get in a fight there because I was setting up to back in a spot, and a little straight truck tried to cut between me and the spot while I was backing in. And the truck that was beside me hopped out, and he was about to whip that box truck driver. I didn't even have to get in the fight. I was just standing there, and he made him move and let me have the spot. Oh, you meant fuel is expensive in the above post. Yeah, it is. And it's only going up, it looks like. Pilots and Flying J's are nasty. Loves I like. I can fuel at Loves, but I don't get any discounts. Yeah, if you can get that ES Advantage, 9 times out of 10, it's the cheapest, and that's what you got to look at. Like when I was at Roadrunner, I had my own personal fuel card, and Pilot, Flying J, and Speedways was where the best discounts were. Uh, then I got ES Advantage, and Love's was generally the cheapest. Sometimes it was a mom and pop place. And with this company I'm with, he's got the NASTIC card. And when I use it, TA and Petro win the day most of the time. So obviously, a lot of things are dictated by where I get the best discount because fuel is the priority. Nick's, I believe you're right. I believe it is Nick's. Nick's 221. Yeah, I think it is Nick's. Great food. I love that restaurant. And on their chalkboard by the bathroom, I wrote one time, Trucker Todd was here, but I bet it's not on there no more. FYI, Todd just stopped for the night. John Toohey called me. He is having problems being able to chat. He said he's listening. As far as the load, I'm on the one. Ah, okay. Well, have a good night, man. Yeah, I talked to John earlier, but it was before the show. I didn't know he was having trouble getting in. That's no problem. I'm just glad he's here. And like always, we usually have, 50 or so in here while we're live. And then usually within the first 24 hours, we have 500 to 600. So what that tells me is a lot of you are working, a lot of you are busy, and you're catching the replay. And I appreciate that just as well. And so, yeah, thank y'all for being here and watching when you can, as much as you can. I got the best viewers in the world for sure. I have EFS card, and we're getting 80-cent discount at Love's, but I've also seen fuel cheaper even with my discount at other truck stops. Yeah, that's and even like there's different discounts with different EFS cards, but that's a pretty good discount. What I was saying before is that all of the big truck stops mark their diesel up, and they're typically 20 or 30 cents higher than the mom and pops, oftentimes right across the street. So you got to look at the discount, but on the way to that discounted fuel at the big truck stop chain, look at the mom and pops and see if they're even cheaper than what your discounts are, because you can save money. You can write off your showers. Yes, that is true. My understanding of the tax code, I'm not a tax advisor. You'd want to consult a tax professional. But I do know from before when we did have an accountant on here that he said if you're getting a shower with points or with rewards, those are not deductible because you're not paying cash for them. I would encourage each of you to talk to your tax professional and get their opinion on what they recommend as far as deductions and things like that. Trying to get the other load later this week, waiting for her to get back with me. Yeah, I talked to you know who earlier today, and he was doing the same thing. Nick's Barbecue and Catfish. That's it, Ted. Great food. If you guys hadn't been there when you're on I-40, you got to try it out. Anthony Fisher, there's a taco truck near Santa Rosa, New Mexico that was really good at a rest stop. Well, there you go. We gotta come up with a database of where all these good places to eat were. Back in the day, back in 1996, when I went through training, my trainer had a little plastic box with index cards in it for each state, and anytime he ate at a restaurant that was really good or stopped at a truck stop he really liked, he would put it on an index card in that little plastic box, and then that way he knew where to stop and trip plan, so that he always ended up at good spots. I-15 Barstow, Cali on Sunday, best meatloaf ever. I missed that. Thank you, COVID. Yeah. I'll tell you what, some of the pilots have a pot roast that is really good. If you're in there, and sometimes their meatloaf is good, but their pot roast always is good. And they've done something to their pizza dough because their pizzas are a lot better than they used to be. I remember complaining a couple of months ago that their pizzas look good, but they don't taste great. And then I'm always mad at myself because I'll buy one and then I'm disappointed. Well, here recently I got one and I was like, dang, this is pretty good. They've done something to their dough. It's a lot better than it used to be. Hey, Lewis, thank you for being here. Hope you had a great Labor Day, and thank you for joining us tonight. Iowa 80, in my opinion, has the best buffet for truck drivers, $14.99. Yeah, that's another one. I stop at Iowa 80 every chance I get. I like going in there and eating. They do have a great buffet. Usually, you have pretty good service in there, so yeah, I like going there as well. With driveway companies, you usually get the fuel surcharge per mile. Some pay per gallon. The one I'm taking a load for tomorrow does $2.28 a gallon. You pay the difference. Yeah, so there you go. So that's not bad, actually. So you're paying for fuel, but it doesn't turn out to be a large expense, especially if you're getting a good discount. I could make that deal work at 11 to 13 miles a gallon. Vermont 89, exit 18, good food, decent parking, could use more parking. Man, I haven't been to Vermont in ages. And when I was in the Northeast, I considered taking a load up there, but I was afraid I'd get stuck up there. But I may have to check them out sometime. TA is not passing out their cards anymore since the first of the year. Yeah, now they got where you can type your phone number in. I've still got my TA rewards card, but it's in pretty ratty condition. It's an old card, and I doubt it's got a lot of life left in it. Iowa 80 is fun. I agree. I've always wanted to go to that trucker museum next door, and I've never made it over there when it was open, but saw a YouTube video the other day where a guy showed around in there, and it looked pretty neat. If I ever get in that area again, I'll try to either do a live going through it or put something on TikTok or something like that. By the way, all the social medias, the Instagram, the Facebook, the YouTube, however you're watching me, the LinkedIn, the TikTok, it's all in the description below this video. If you click on the title, you can see all that information. Y'all check it out when you get a chance. To worst, love the one on I-5, Tacoma, Washington, small parking. Yeah, I hate that truck stop with a passion. If you get a parking spot there, it's pure luck. Yeah, that's what they were saying. TA not issuing any new rewards card. I guess they're just going to go off everybody's phone number. Fuel price app. I used FuelBook a lot to kind of check the mom and pop places. Mudflap tells you their prices right on the app, and ES Advantage uses the WEX app, and somehow they're tied into it where it figures it with their discounts and everything. But yeah, that's kind of how that works. So you get 228 a gallon average plus. Yeah, there you go. And so you could be getting some cheap fuel if you price shop and if you know your miles per gallon, things like that. New Hampshire, my bad. No problem. Oh, Ted was there today, so it's nice to know the food's still good there. I don't know when I'll be back over that way again. I'm planned up to Wyoming. I'll deliver in Denver in the morning, or not in Denver, in Pueblo, and then I'm picking up in Pueblo and going to Wyoming. So I don't know where I'm going from Wyoming yet. Still working out the details. I take the standard deduction, $69 today. Yeah, I think most people do. That's the way to do it. Logic Neo says, right on. Thanks for being here, man. I didn't know you was with us today, but I'm glad you're here. Petro in Glendale, Kentucky has an iron skillet. Yeah, some of the iron skillets are still around, but most of them don't have the buffets anymore. Trucker Todd, let's create a shareable Google map with all the good food. The problem is corruption. As soon as we come up with a map like that, every restaurant that comes across it is going to add their restaurant, whether it's good or bad. And some of the trolls will add terrible restaurants or restaurants that's not in business anymore. So we'd have to figure out the logistics of it, how to do it without to where it was a reliable source. All of us truck drivers on the road are starting to get hungry. And it sounds like, yeah, all of us truck. Oh, okay, I got it. I get it. Voice to text mess things up. All of us truck drivers on the road are starting to get hungry. And it sounds like, yeah. And I ate right before the show, but y'all are making me hungry. But it's hard times. It'll probably be a bologna sandwich, and not really good barbecue or really good catfish or nothing like that. Barbecue, catfish, meatloaf, pizza, yum yum. You guys are killing me. Yeah, me too. That's another thing. Some of you guys that are kind of new, not been in here in a while, that's the whole fun of watching this show. You never know what we're going to talk about or what subjects are going to come up. Sometimes it's funny and we're sitting here laughing. Sometimes it's serious, but sometimes it's trucking related. Sometimes it goes off the rails. So I appreciate you guys making it fun and keeping it interesting. We just lost a lot of people. So some people lost interest. Hopefully they'll be back in a few minutes. We'll keep plugging along though, as long as y'all got stuff you want to talk about. And then I'll finish out driving to Pueblo when we finish tonight. TA exit 502. Yeah, and Terrell, I-20. Good fried chicken, not anymore. Yeah, I don't think they have it anymore. I always just get Pizza Hut when I'm there. It's not original, but I try to keep going because if you go a little further east, there's a truck stop with a Sonic in it, and they got pretty good barbecue there. And so and there's usually parking. So I try to make it over there unless it's an hour's thing. Now, if I'm going west, if I'm heading home or something, sometimes I'll stop at that TA because you can usually get parking. And I don't want to get stuck in Dallas traffic and run out of time. So I'll usually just stop there. I'm at the Boselmans in Grand Island, Nebraska. It's a pretty nice truck stop. I'm here for the night. Yeah, Gary, I like that truck stop. It's also got a pretty good restaurant, if I remember correctly. Seemed like I had some boneless wings there last time I was there. You going to Pueblo, Colorado? You know who lives there. Remember the kid from the movie Black Stallion? He's a trucker. Really? I didn't know that. Dana Perino from Fox News, I believe, is from Pueblo or Boulder or somewhere in that area. Also, my neighbors are originally from that area, or my former neighbors. They moved. So yeah, that's pretty cool though. I like Pueblo. It's a nice town. If you hadn't tried it, hit the BJ's Travel Center, I-55, exit 52 in Missouri. Pretty decent little buffet at a fair price. Great pork steaks. Yeah, I've been there before, and I agree with you. That is a good one. So it depends which Solomons you're talking about. I'm uh, I'm trying to think of where all the Solomons are. I think there is one kind of close to there. Maybe some of these other guys can help you out. I went to the Solomons in. There's one in Oklahoma, and I don't remember the town, but it's Troy Aikman's hometown, and they make mention of Troy Aikman in there. But to me, barbecue is like brisket stuff, and Solomons has a lot of pork, which I don't mind pork, but I typically want some brisket too if I'm at a barbecue place. Is still open. Well, that's great. I'll have to get up that way again. You guys are going to make it where I don't go home for a couple of months. I'm going to be touring the country, checking out all these places. Is it Henrietta Max Force? I couldn't remember, but that sounds right. And it's pretty neat there too. They got truck parking there. It's pretty neat. I hadn't been in there in several years, but uh, Troy Aikman at one time was my favorite quarterback, and he's still in the top five for sure. Maybe in the top three. Let's see what else we got here, Ramon. Getting hungry. Stop it. Me too. I'm getting hungry, and I'm at a little crappy hole in the wall truck stop right here by I-25 in Raton, New Mexico. So there ain't no good food around here. It's I'm going to hear y'all talk about all this great food, and I'm going to end up with a bologna sandwich. Soul Man's I-30 exit 77 in Texas. Yep. So I-30 is getting, especially at 177, you're about an hour and a half away from a lot of family. So I do stop at that one sometimes, and they've got the fried pies and everything. That's pretty good. Unsubscribing Aikman. Yeah, the thing that ticked off a lot of people was when I said I like Dak Prescott. That really upset a lot of people, and a lot of people didn't like it that I was a Cowboys fan. But you got to kind of take it with a grain of salt because I'm really just a football fan in general. If any two teams are playing, and it doesn't matter high school, college, flag football, anything, I love watching football. And so, but I being in Texas, I got to be a Cowboys fan. Uh, but Patrick Mahomes played for Texas Tech in college, and so I'm a Patrick Mahomes fan. I like the Kansas City Chiefs. There's a lot of teams that I like, and the only team I really can't stand is the New Orleans Saints, and it's because a few years ago when they did Who Dat. I thought that was so stupid that I wanted them to lose just because of Who Dat. But other than that, I like the NFL, and I can watch football all day. We can start some football talk. NFL week one. Yeah, Robbie goes to what, 2 or 3 games a season for the Cowboys, and that's on my bucket list. My actual bucket list was to take my dad to a Dallas Cowboys game, but he's already been to a few of them with my sister and her husband, and so I won't be able to accomplish that bucket list deal, taking him to his first Cowboys game. Mike could still go to a game with him, uh, depending on his health and ability to get out and things like that. But I'd still like to go to a Dallas Cowboys game at some point. And I'd like to get a tour of the stadium. They always advertise the stadium tours, and they're supposed to be pretty neat as well. If we all liked the same sports teams, the whole thing would be boring. That's true. And it's fun to have a little friendly back and forth and debate about who's good, who's not good, things like that. But if we're honest, all of them are better than any of us are. We're all playing armchair quarterback. But I marvel at some of the things they do. This Sunday, the Chicago Bears are playing the Green Bay Packers, one of the all-time rivalries. Um, the Bears I like are the '85 Bears with Ditka and McMahon and Walter Payton and all of them. But I like Green Bay. I think I probably prefer Green Bay in that game, but it'll be a good game. It's always those two teams. They always go at each other's throats. You think the Bears are going to win? Maybe. I didn't get to watch hardly any preseason. I watched a little bit of the Cowboys, so uh, I'll have a better understanding of how this season's going to go for everybody after I'm able to watch a few games. Or my let me define that. My definition of watching a game is listening to it on satellite radio while I'm going down the road in between phone calls. By the way, my broker on this load has called me at least 5 or 6 times today. And that's with tracking, that's with texting. So I'm not counting the times he's texted me. I'm talking about calls, texts. There's an app that's tracking me. And he's like, "Oh, I forgot that I was tracking you." Well, what do we have the app for if we're not even looking at it? And same thing with the text. They asked me, "Did you arrive at the shipper?" I said, "Yeah, I texted you about 30 minutes ago. Remember, we were texting back and forth." He goes, "Oh, the guy didn't update it in the system." He goes, "I see it now." So why are we texting if we're not going to update it in the system? And why do we have a tracking app if we're not going to look at it? Just tell me, "Hey, I'm going to bug the crap out of you 20 times a day," and then bug me. Yeah, does anybody remember the song the '85 Bears did? Uh, the Super Bowl Shuffle? And the Houston Oilers came out with a song around that time too. I don't remember what the name of it was, but they had William the Refrigerator Perry in Chicago, and he even ran for a couple of touchdowns. And that's back when teams had character and showmanship, and it was really a fun time to be a fan in the NFL. Luckily, it's my first day back out on the road, so I have plenty can cook on my truck. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Uh, I get paid tomorrow, so tomorrow I'll stop somewhere and do some grocery shopping. But tonight it's like I got a little bit of money, but it's going to probably be bologna sandwiches and stuff like that. And tonight's show brought to you by Coke Zero. They're not sponsoring and they're not paying, but they're definitely contributing. That's true. I heard Aaron Rodgers left them. You kind of knew that was happening. Where's he at now? At the Jets? Robbie's going to be at week 2 and week 3 Cowboys games. Uh, Robbie, if you want to buy your favorite YouTuber a ticket, I'd be happy to attend the game with you. And if your favorite YouTuber ain't willing to go, contact me. I'll go. I messed that joke all up. We should charge these brokers for all these tracking apps. Well, in theory, we do when we're negotiating our rate because we know that's part of the deal. But it's a battery drainer. And every once in a while, I'll get a broker that says, we don't have a tracking app. Just return our text when we text or answer the call when we call. And they usually don't bother you. They're usually real cool. But some of them, man, they've got it like on a call rotation on their computer, and you can set your clock every 2 or 3 hours. They're calling. They don't care if they got a tracking app or not. And I'm not going to get myself in trouble by saying which broker it is, because this one happens to be a smaller Canadian broker. But there's one big broker that's famous for micromanaging and bugging you to death. And I try to not ever do their apps, their loads. It's the Jets. That's where Aaron Rodgers is now. Don't like sports that much, but love chicken wings and beer, LOL. Yeah, I gain a lot of weight during football season because football makes me hungry. But, for me, football is, I associate it with when I was a kid. My grandfather lived like 2 or 3 blocks away from us. And I used to walk to his house. And I was pretty young back then. And we'd sit there and we'd watch football together and eat snacks together and kind of have a good time while we watched the game. And he would comment and teach me about football. And so, that kind of sticks with you. And so my dad also likes football now. We'll text back and forth during the game. What'd you think about that play? Or, this player's doing good today. This player's not. So to me, I associate it with fellowship with family. And neither one of my kids are as big of a football fan, so they don't watch it. So unfortunately, that tradition may go by the wayside, but at some point. But right now, I still got my dad, and that's good for that, and I associate it with him. And my uncle that I'm pretty close to, he watches the Kansas City Chiefs more than he does the Cowboys. So typically, we'll just update each other. He'll tell me how the Chiefs did, and I'll tell him how the Cowboys did. And he likes the Cowboys, and I like the Chiefs, so it works out to be a good deal for both of us. I'm 6'2", used to weigh 475, now 350. Well, that's great, man. At my height, I was at 312. I'm 5'9", and I was at 255 at the doctor this week. I got as low as 245, but I've gained 10 pounds. And so I've been out of Ozempic for about 3 weeks now. It was on national back order, according to Walmart. And so I've got to pay my health insurance this week, and then I'll get that Ozempic filled. They're telling me they got it in stock now. So hopefully I'll be back on it and start losing weight again. So Ozempic is, a lot of people are taking it for weight loss, and it's making it hard for us diabetics to get it. Also, my doctor said, hey, we got some skinny shots we can give you. I said, well, tell me about the skinny shots. It's $49 a week. You take 1 shot a week for 6 weeks. And you have to go to the office to do it. You can't take the syringes and do it yourself. So I was like, well, I see why it makes you skinny. At the end of 6 weeks, I'll be broke and won't be able to afford to eat because I'll have to constantly be having to come back to Lubbock to get a shot. So I don't guess I'll be getting the skinny shot. And then when she realized I wasn't a customer, she said, well, Todd, honestly, it's just a B vitamin. And she said, it's not B12, but it's another B vitamin. She told me what it was, but I don't remember. And she's like, you could probably get some good multivitamins at the pharmacy and get the same result for a lot less money. So I'm going to be hitting the vitamin aisle when I'm grocery shopping. and seeing what B vitamin options are available for weight loss. Yeah, the funny you mentioned that, your crazy uncle. Beef, bacon, butter, eggs, only reverse type 2. Yeah, the owner of the company I work for, and we're getting ready to say who that is. It won't be much longer now. Uh, talked to me about it during the orientation process, and he's the first person that ever talked to me about a diet that it was interesting to listen to him talk about it. And he's lost a significant amount of weight, and he's done it doing that, eating beef, bacon, butter, and eggs. And now he's eating good beef. He's eating ribeyes and real good cuts of steak. And but yeah, when he first told me about it was when my wife and I met him and his wife for dinner, and he called it the carnivore diet. And I thought, well, I'm a carnivore. I eat lots of beef. And he said, no, it's a diet. And he started telling me about it at dinner that night, and it was really, really interesting. He ordered for the carnivore diet, and he said, I'll cheat once a week or once a month or something like that, get something else. But for the most part, I follow this diet pretty strict. And man, his meal, well, I've ate with him several times now, and every meal he's had has just looked amazing. And so I think that's a diet I could consider doing, especially if rates come up, and because it's expensive to eat that way. But I think I could do it if rates come up or continue and loads continue to get better and things like that. Back in the days, 1 gallon of ice cream. Well, my problem was a gallon a day of milk, or at the most, a gallon of milk would last 2 days. And I drank milk like an alcoholic, and not 2%. I was drinking the whole milk, and now my problem is bread. For those that don't know, bread has a lot of carbs, but what's the first thing they bring you when you go to a restaurant? Bread. And what do all the truck stops have? Fast food, which is fried chicken, which is bread, or it's a hamburger, which is bread, or it's a foot-long Subway, which is bread. And so I think I could lose weight if I didn't change nothing else about myself except stop eating bread. And I was talking with somebody at the hospital about this yesterday, and they said, well, have you ever tried the hamburgers where they use lettuce as the bread? And I said, yeah. And I said, I can do that in moderation. But, I mean, part of eating a hamburger is you want a hamburger bun. And I've tried the keto bread, and it's not great, but it's edible. Here you go. Your crazy uncle said Ken D. Berry, MD, on YouTube. So if y'all are interested in the carnivore diet, check out Ken D. Berry, MD. Did I get my APU fixed? I didn't even try. I spent all weekend at the hospital. Grandson had 24 seizures on one of those days and was in pretty bad shape at one point. And my aunt had a major surgery and was supposed to have another kind of exploratory surgery today, and it got postponed. So I just didn't get a chance to do it. And I will, though, pretty quick. Probably next time I'm in Lubbock. It's on the list of things to do. It's just it wasn't possible this weekend. Also, like the Thermo Kings and stuff, there's only like 2 or 3 of them in the country that are open on the weekends. Most of them work bankers hours. And, on Friday I was running. Monday was a holiday. There just wasn't a real good opportunity. I lose weight on the road, but when I get home, all that Cuban food. Well, that's the other thing, and I don't want to blame family, but when I get home, I want to go out to eat with the wife, and then I go see my uncle, and they typically want to go out to eat to celebrate me being in town. And then I go see my son, and my son's like, let's go out to eat. And so I do end up eating a lot out when I'm at home, but I wouldn't mind a good home cooked meal sometimes. And My wife cooked dinner last night and breakfast yesterday, and that was kind of a nice change. She's a pretty good cook herself. Does all the heat have anything to do with his seizure? So they don't really know what's triggering it, but he had pretty much every kind of epileptic seizure you can have. He has epilepsy, and they believe it's probably genetic. And so there's a lot going on there, but they don't know what the triggers are. They did I think it's called an EKG, where they hook the wires and watch brain activity for 24 hours. And they took him off one medicine and replaced it with another one. And he was supposed to be going home today, and he's having an allergic reaction to something, and he broke out in a rash. So they're keeping him another day trying to figure out what the rash is. But yeah, it's been an ordeal. But the day he had the 24 seizures, I was in the emergency room most of the day, and it was a pretty scary situation. And so, as a result of that, I didn't watch a lot of news. I didn't get a lot of people called back. I didn't get the APU fixed, obviously. Just, it's all about, and I talked to my wife a lot about this, it's all about priorities. And for some people, trucking is their number one priority. It becomes before God, it comes before their family, it comes before their friends. That's not me. Trucking's very, very important because it's how I take care of my family. It's how I feed myself. It's how I put a roof over my head. But a sick kid in the hospital, I'll trade it all for their health and well-being. Or a sick relative in the hospital, I'll trade it all for their health and well-being. On the road, all I eat is ham and cheese. That's an interesting diet. I was doing the Atkins dinners that you throw in the microwave, and Walmart has really downsized their selection of Atkins dinners. I guess I was the only one eating them, and so I try to do. I have good days and bad days. I guess we all do, uh, but I did get my pickup fixed. It's back on the road. Thank you, Gary. I appreciate that. I get my Jeep on Friday, blew my differential. Isn't that insane? $2,200 for a differential. I'm single and it's hard to survive out here anymore. Yeah, my wife got paid this morning. She gave me a little money. Her going back to work has been a big help just until things pick back up. And I'm really grateful to her. She's been a big help, and she hasn't griped about it or questioned me. She's been very supportive. I take care of all the bills and things like that, and she's been very good about if I say, hey, I need X number of dollars for this, okay, no problem. And so she's been great to deal with during this stressful time. What about y'all? What y'all do this weekend? I wore that hat that everybody likes, if you can see it, that I got from Thermo King. Well, this is a great point. So in August, I grossed 25.3, and that's what I try to tell you guys. There's a difference in gross and net, and you know, you see it on Facebook all the time. These companies average. I gross 10,000 a week. I gross 12,000 a week, and it's not what you gross; it's what you keep. So 10,000 a week would be a little over 40,000 a month. So these guys are claiming they do twice what I do. But I talked to one of them the other day. He's like, man, I grossed, I think he said $5,100 this week. Or no. There was one guy, he did $11,000 in 1 week. And I said, yeah, but what did you net? And when he did his check and he came back to me, I netted 1,100. And I'm like, so you're keeping 10% of what you gross. And I'm like, that's not good. Your deductions are too high. And I couldn't make him understand it. Yeah, but I grossed, all this money. And I said, yeah, you're going to have 21,000 at the end of the month. So you're making 1,000 a week less than I am gross. And you're paying substantially more in deductions. So it's concentrate on net. That's like guys get hung up on. I'm getting 88%. Yeah, but they're nickel and diming you to death. Look at what you get for your 88% versus what I get for my 80%. And I think you'll find out I've got a better deal. Taz is here. Good evening, Taz. Thank you for being here. I delivered in Laredo today. This place is super busy. If you are a Swift driver, that Laredo terminal is hopping all the time. They do all kinds of stuff out of that terminal. My first year, I grossed $140K just on fuel. Yeah, exactly. It's people don't have a clue what all this stuff costs. And then you figure in your insurance and all of that. It's you really need to, if you want to impress your friends, you can tell them, hey, I run a business that grosses $25,000 a month. And they'll go, whoa, because they don't know what gross and net and all that is. But then you go, of that, I keep about 10,000. And they're like, oh, that's still pretty good. You're like, yeah, but I still got to pay this out of that out of that. But again, I'm not complaining. A lot of people don't realize what all goes into it. Gross not important, net's important. Some do not understand that. Exactly, Taz. And some of them, I asked a guy the other day, he said, well, I make this amount. I said, is that gross or net? And he got kind of quiet for a minute. And he said, I get confused between the two. And so I had to explain to him the difference between gross and net. But typically, I like to see guys taking home about half of their gross. So if I gross 25, I'd like to see me taking home, 12.5. Not nowhere near there right now. So I'm not a good example, but that's the target that I shoot for. I can take home $3K a week if I hustle, give or take. Yeah, I would say most weeks you can do that realistically, but some of it's being in the right place at the right time, finding the right loads, getting the fuel economy. Getting unloaded in a timely manner. But yeah, I believe you at that number. I don't think that's an impossible reach. I think most weeks people can hit in the 2,000 to 3,000 range. Keep in mind you haven't paid taxes yet on that gross. Yeah, exactly. And I try to avoid taxes because, everybody's taxes on here is different. And I think you and I have talked about that before, Gary. The guy that's got 3 small children at home, his taxes are going to be a lot less than the single guy that lives alone with very few deductions. So you just have to, that's why even in net, I don't include taxes. I let you guys figure out what your own taxes are because it can really vary substantially from person to person. Last year as a company driver, I made $57K in 4 months running team. Wow, that's not nothing to shake a stick at. That one guy agrees, yes, about half. Yeah, that's where you should be. Diesel should run you about 25 to 30% of your gross from what I'm told. But it shouldn't be like 50 or 60% like it is for some of you. Interesting that the vast majority do not figure out income tax money into their business budget. This should be figured into operating costs. Yeah, you would think. You would think. I'll tell you one that'll shock you more than that. When I worked at Roadrunner, they emailed you or either emailed you or had an app. I don't remember now. Your check stubs, your settlements, and they had a way of tracking it. And one of the higher ups there told me that 67% of the people, the independent contractors at that time, never opened their settlements. They just, whatever the company paid them, they assumed that's what they were getting. And he said he talked to one guy about it and asked him, why don't you look at your settlement? What if there's a mistake? And the guy said, if I can't trust the company, then I don't need to work here. And he told him, he said, it's not about trust. It's about people doing lots of settlements a week. And what if they make an honest mistake? And he goes, well, when they do an audit, they'll catch it. They'll figure it out. But can you imagine if whatever company you're leased to, big or small, if 67% of your company never opened their settlement or knew how to read it? This company's got like 6 trucks right now. Can you imagine if 3 or 4 of them never read their settlements? They just, whatever he direct deposited, it's what they took. This is how a way that a company can get over on a driver. Because if they just conveniently forget to put detention or something on there, if you're not looking, you don't know it's not on there. Or extra stop pay or layover or all of that. Everybody needs to be looking at their settlements. And if you don't know how to read them, you don't understand them, don't be embarrassed. Get with somebody that can explain it to you so that you can figure out what you're paying, what your costs are, like Taz is talking about, so that you can set a budget and know, all right, if I'm pulling this load for 89 cents a mile, I'm not making any money by the time I give 20% away and pay all my tolls and my diesel. All right, I know diesel's costing me roughly this much a week. So I need to adjust my cost per mile so that I know, what my break-even point is, things like that. If you don't, Henry Ford said, if you plan to fail, you can fail to, oh God, I'm going to get it backwards. Oh, if you fail to plan, you can plan to fail. There you go. Man, I need more Coke Zero. If you fail to plan, you can plan to fail. Think about that when you're looking at your trucking operation. Yes, sir. I agree with you. And Thursday night, I think we're going to talk about that. If you've got somebody that you recommend that does your taxes and trucking that's really good, either email me at todd@truckertodd.net or try to show up in the Thursday show and tell me about them so that I can look into them. I can make $100K a year as team driving, but remember, don't have any expenses to report. So Uncle Sam is going to eat me up on taxes. Yeah, that's true. As a single truck owner, you have to remember pennies turn into dollars. I definitely look at the settlement statements. Exactly. Very well said, Taz. My settlements come out every Wednesday afternoon. I write everything down that I spend and all my settlements. Oh, well, that's great. That's great. I like to hear that you're doing that. I started at Swift 10 years ago. Saw the whole country at Swift. Yeah, I did 4.5 years there. I saw quite a bit of it myself. They are not as bad of an outfit as everybody makes them out to be. I assure you that if you put 100 owner-operators in the same room, not a single one would have the same cost per mile. That's actually really true because, they've all got different trucks. They've all got different lanes. There's a million different reasons. And that's part of the problem. They will get on YouTube rather than figuring their own numbers, and they'll find some YouTuber, and he'll tell them, my cost per mile is $1.40 a mile. And they'll go, well, that sounds good. And they'll tell everybody, my cost is $1.40 a mile. And you say, well, what makes you think so? Well, I heard it on YouTube. I know that's what it is. And then you figure it, and theirs is $1.05 or $1.10. But everybody's cost per mile is different, and it changes weekly. It changes daily, actually. So you need to be refiguring it and kind of knowing how it's trending. But I'll assure you another thing about 100 owner operators in a room. You couldn't get them to agree on anything for more than about 5 minutes. They'd all be fighting and arguing after a few minutes. So I typically don't include home expenses in my deal for several reasons. For one, if I worked at Burger King and I had a take home of $400 a week, and you said, how much do you make working at Burger King? I'd say $400 a week. I wouldn't say, well, my electric bill was $150 this month. I wouldn't take, because that's personal. I assume most people can figure out their personal expenses. The second reason is I got a lot of stuff that many of you don't have. I've got 4 cars. I've got the travel trailer. I've got a lot of things like that. So it's not fair to the company I work for or to owner operators in general to go, oh, well, I only make this because of all my personal decisions and high overhead at home. And so I just say, hey, this is what my take home was. You guys figure out your own taxes, your own home expenses, and if you can live on that or not. Todd, you ever drive from Washington State all the way down to Los Angeles? Yeah, but it's been a while. I used to do a lot with Roadrunner from like Oregon and Washington down to Commerce, California, which is right outside of Los Angeles. But we did have a run that went into Los Angeles as well. So I've done it, but it's been a couple of years. What blows my mind is the owner operator that does not know his cost per mile. What blows my mind is the ones that don't even know how to buy fuel. I fill up when I need to fill up, and I drive till it's empty, and I fill up again. I've met several guys like that. I don't know how these low mile per gallon guys stay out here. I'm getting 8 to 9 in the summer, paying about $1,300 a week currently. I would tell you to get that. Like, I know everybody thinks I'm self-promote, but I was saving $1,300 a month with the ES Advantage fuel card, which is what, 300 and something a week. That makes a big difference. But I get your point you're making. These guys driving these big hooded trucks that are getting 5 or 6 miles a gallon, it's got to be tough right now, even if you are getting a good fuel discount. $1,300 a week sounds a little high for fuel. Just running the numbers in my head. I'm kind of wondering if you're paying pump price. No, that's probably about right, because that'd be 2 tanks a week. Yeah, that sounds about right now that I do the math in my head. Actually, in some cases, you might be paying a little more than that if you had to get a splash to finish a trip or something. Okay, folks, we're coming up on the 2-hour mark. If you guys got anything else you want to throw out there, throw it up, and we'll get her discussed. If not, I'm going to get on down the road before it gets late. So it really depends. I would say anywhere from 7.5 to 8.5 most of the time. Sometimes I get above 9. I hauled a load of mail down to Midland the other day. I was getting over 9. Keep in mind that right now it's not great because I'm in super hot weather. I'm having to idle all the time. But when the APU's working, I can get right around high 8s, low 9s. But it's all over the board right now. Today it's been especially low because it took a while to get loaded, and I was idling all that time. It was over 100 degrees. Somebody told my wife it was 107 today. I didn't get an actual good temperature. PACCAR does pretty good, it seems like, but it's definitely not got as much pulling power as the Cummins. And it's that 12-speed automatic. It's got 264 rear ends, so it's geared kind of high. It's what we used to call in the old days as a flatland truck. It's not really a hill climber. My weekly fixed cost is around $1,100 per week. That doesn't include fuel. I figured that. I'm spending around 50 cents per mile. Yeah, that's not terrible. That's not terrible. I retired my 85 359 Pete 2020 for a Freightliner Cascadia glider. Yeah, I bet, but I got to admit, I'd love to have that 359. Good evening, Michael. Thank you for being here. My APU sucks to keep my sleeper cool when it's super hot outside. Yeah, you can shut those mid curtains, and that kind of confines it and makes it a little better. But once it starts getting above 100, sometimes you still have to idle. Same thing with the EPUs. You do reach a point where they just can't keep up anymore. But in most environments, they work pretty good. One thing you can do that will help, though, is turn your sleeper, your bunk air conditioner on like the last hour and a half or 2 hours before you stop for the night or stop for the day, whatever the case may be, and get that sleeper nice and cold. And then the APU doesn't have to work so hard to cool it off in there. If you let it get hot back there, that poor APU has to work so hard to cool it off. I still have it. There you go. What are you doing with it now? Is it just, is there anything wrong with it? Lack of pulling power may have to do with your rears. Well, without a doubt, that's a contributing factor. A lot of people with PACCAR engines have said that they just don't pull as well. For me, it's okay. I didn't buy this truck to be a race car. I bought it to be a fuel efficient vehicle that makes me money. So I'll go up a hill a little slower if I make money. But yeah, it's at 455 horsepower right now. And I've been told for about $1,000 they can turn it up to 505 horsepower. I don't know how true that is. I'm going to look into it. But when you're getting good fuel economy, you're kind of afraid to mess with anything because I don't want to turn it up to 505 and then go from 8 or 9 miles a gallon down to 6 or 7. So you kind of have to weigh the pros and cons about it. Now you are idling more. How often does your truck perform a regen? Only a couple of times. It's done really good. It, I shut it off every chance I get. When this video ends and I go in the truck stop, I'll turn it off for a few minutes when I go in there. And if it's a cool night, like I'm hoping it'll be in Colorado, I won't idle it overnight. I'll sleep with the truck off and open the little vent windows back here. You have to cut costs where you can, though. Last year was driving a 2023 579P, getting over 10 miles per gallon. UPS loads. Yeah, these new Pete's, an ex-friend of mine had one at the company he was at, and he was getting killer fuel economy. And he also had a Volvo that was doing really well at one point. Yep, it was a PACCAR. And a lot of people, PACCAR had a bad reputation from 2015 and prior. They've made a lot of changes to that engine. And what they call the second generation PACCAR now is a whole different beast than what the first one was. Nothing wrong with it, just not cost effective to operate it now. I'll never get rid of it because I got it brand new. That might be another one that you might want to donate it to your favorite YouTuber. And if he's not available, I'd gladly take it. Just joking. I had overhead done back in June on this truck. What'd that set you back? About $800 or $900? Or now, how and when to pick your battles. I think some of that comes with age. And I tell people, when I was young, I was like Captain Kirk from Star Trek. I'd fight anybody over the littlest thing. And now I'm kind of like more like Captain Picard. I'd kind of rather sit down and try to talk my way through stuff, try to work things out. I can still get there, but it takes a lot longer. And I've learned to, when it's important to just walk away and when it's a battle worth having, both with family and dealing with truck drivers too. And I think that just comes with age and maturity. I was in Aurora, Colorado yesterday. It's been cooling off at night, but hot during the day. Yeah, well, I'll probably be there sometime tomorrow. So not terrible, about $800 for an overhead. The 85 feet in good condition, one owner, about 80K, good investment. Yeah, it sounds like it. I love those old trucks too. I wouldn't mind having a cab over, especially if I could get one of the flat floor cab overs like JB Hunt and them had right before cab overs went away. Man, you used to, those trucks, you could pull into a warehouse that had a dock that was pretty tight back, and people would pay you anywhere from $20 to $50 to back their trailers in, and it wasn't nothing at all to do. Make you a little side money while you was getting unloaded. What else y'all got on your minds tonight? I think we lost a lot of people. Some went to bed, some started driving. And Ramon, if you got any pictures of your Pete, you ought to throw them up real quick. I'd like to see them. Or email them to me later. I love those old trucks. It was a glider kit back then, Cummins KTA 600, 19 liter. Now that's a truck. That's a triple digit truck right there. Or I bet it was triple digits. Love cab over and 86 Freightliner. Yeah, the very first truck I ever drove was an 85 Peterbilt cab over. I'm assuming your 85 is, well, if it's 359, it's conventional. But yeah, I love those old trucks. And the Freightliners back then were nice too. We also, at the truck driving school we went to, I think we had an 86 or an 88 Freightliner cab over. It was a pretty nice truck as well. Kind of stinks when you got to raise the cab for maintenance and stuff, but it had a little flapper door on the front that you could check the oil and coolant and all that up front. So it wasn't too bad for kind of doing your pre-trip and stuff. You had to be careful when you lifted that cab. If you had stuff not secure in the sleeper, there's no telling where it'd be when you let the cab back down. Still is, but not even busted. 4 miles per gallon. Wow, that's crazy. How long are you going to be out for this time? No plan. I'll probably stay out for a while unless I just get something passing through. This time at home, this Labor Day weekend was only planned to be Friday for the doctor's appointment. And I was planning on leaving out Friday afternoon or Saturday morning. I ended up leaving Saturday afternoon, I think it was, and going down to Midland for a quick one. But there really wasn't anything worth looking at until Tuesday. And so that's why I ended up staying there. But this is the time when I need to be working a lot. And so I've got some stuff coming in for the truck that's got to get installed. And when that stuff comes in is when I'll be back. And I hope it's in the next week or so, but it could be several weeks. But the short answer to your question is I don't have any planned time off in the coming near future. But I know there's some coming. I just don't know when. Now I got a 14-liter Detroit 60 series hooked to a 13-speed. Yeah, I love the Detroit 60 series. Probably one of the best built engines ever. And Caterpillar used to make a great engine back in the day. Good evening, Craig Hutchison. Thank you for being here. I also like the Ford Aeromax back in the day when they made those. I'd like to have one of those as well if I could find one in decent condition. Most of them have been turned into dump trucks and things like that. Has anybody, because I mentioned I hadn't been around the news lately, has anybody heard how that hurricane in Florida, how the recovery's going? Got a friend that owns a 98 379P, 600 horsepower N14 red top, 18 speed, 336 top speed. Yeah, I bet. And it probably gets about 4 or 5 miles a gallon too. Acert cats were great. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and I was trying to remember the one. I want to say it was a 3406B was the engine that was the most desirable. It was either B or D. I can't remember the letter at the end. Got a new glider last year. You could get one. Best move I made. Yeah, not right now. I'm committed to this truck for the next few years. But if this deal goes south, then maybe I'll have enough money to do something like that. I can tell you where a TV would be when you lifted the cab on a cab over through the windshield. I was a mechanic for Cat in '94. I always check the loose bunk items. Yeah, if I had a TV, I would have it thoroughly or strongly mounted in there. And some of them had like an angled piece of flat metal up in one of the corners. And usually there was like a coat hanger rod off of it. I'd have found a way to mount a TV mounting bracket to that or something to where I'm saying if I had one now. TVs are a lot smaller now. Back then you had square TVs and you'd had to strap it in. Now you could probably buy you a good TV mount at your favorite department store and bolt it in. But man, if you didn't have things secured, you're going to bust a windshield or it would hit against the wall and break or it was a struggle for sure. Also, an old guy like me climbing over that doghouse would be terrible on my knees. How you're pulling power with that pack car? Does it pull hills good, or do you drop gears? Not great. That's what I was saying. It's some of it's that rear end being geared the way it is, but I mean the pack car engine is a lot smaller displacement than what the Cummins is, and so, but it's not unbearable. I can live with it for the fuel economy. Ramon says 4.5 on his friend's truck. It's the 3406B, no computer. And Nathan says the E model is the one I'm thinking of. Taz says the best cat motor he had was a 1693 TA. You know, I saw an article a few weeks ago. The Caterpillar's considering making engines for over the road again. You might remember they got out of it because of emissions, and they are considering coming back. So that might be something to get some of you super truckers excited. Hey, look who's here! Cassius King is in the house. Hey, man, good to see you. We're winding down. We've been going for a little over 2 hours now, and I'm glad you're here to breathe energy into the conversation. Did you have a good Labor Day weekend, my friend? Too bad they don't offer a 2-speed rear axle these days. Go from a 355 to a 265. Well, it's because a lot of these guys wouldn't know how to drive it and they'd burn it up. And see, that's where we think differently, because I think, well, you put that on the trainers. The trainers aren't teaching them. They say, oh, we'll just get them an automatic and we don't have to worry about it. And, we're coming up with self-driving trucks and all this other stuff when all we need to do is train people the right way. Craig says he liked the N14 Cummins. There you go. I like the sound of an N14 Cummins. I like the way they sounded. I had a 94 FLD 120, 3406B Cat, no computer. I love the FLD 120s. I remember the sleeper configuration. I loved the cabinets in them. And then they went to the Century, and it just felt like you lost a lot of storage space. I've never driven a Cat engine. I've always drove a 60 Series Detroit or an N14 Cummins. I miss that 60 Series. Love that motor. Yeah, I do too. The Cat shifts different, and people are going to think I'm weird, and somebody's going to call me stupid and argue with me. You shift faster between shifts. Of course, now with all the automatics, if they were to come out with one now, it probably wouldn't matter, because it'd probably be mated to an automatic. But you just have to, you kind of shift differently. You shift slower in Detroit and all these others. With that Cat, you kind of go a little faster. Agree with Ramon, 3406B, I believe the 3406E was electron. Yeah, I'm the one that said the B. I think Ramon liked the E. Is that right? I've watched training decline for the past 35 years, unfortunately. Yeah, my dad and my grandpa taught me how to drive and how to pull trailers and all of that. And they would lose their, if they saw the way kids are being taught to drive now. Parents are not teaching their kids how to merge, how to make lane changes, how to keep a following distance, nothing. The roads are more dangerous because we're not teaching the next generation road etiquette or how to drive. First truck was the 97 FLD 120 and 10 speed 308 gears. That wouldn't be a bad truck either. Cash says, transmission is how you pull hills. I got no problem dropping gears going up a hill. I keep my RPMs at 13, no matter the uphill grade. The rear end ratio is for flat ground RPMs. So I've got the automatic, so I can't really do a whole lot about holding the RPMs. It supposedly the computer's supposed to be smarter than me. I guess I could manually lock it in a gear, but they claim it's most optimized if I just let the automatic do the work. I got 264s for the flat ground, so I am pretty good there. At 65, I'm turning like 1100 RPMs. How many can remember when Cap made a 16-speed semi-automatic dual clutch transmission for trucks? I'm dating myself with this one. No, but I did work for NFI at one point, and they had, I forget what they called it, auto shift or something. And for the last 2 gears, it would automatically shift. You could see the little lever move and everything. It was pretty cool, but from what I understand, those transmissions weren't super reliable, and that's why they're not around anymore. Yeah, we've got that part covered. The part we were confused about was which one you preferred, which one you liked better. The computer simply is not better than a vigilant driver watching the tag. I agree with you, but I think it's one of those deals of in a real world scenario, though, how many drivers are really doing that? I pass trucks and they got their phone up, they got their legs up on the dash, they're taking selfies, they're reading their bills, they're fiddling with their GPS, and I think at the time of trucks that we're talking about, we didn't have all the distractions that we have now in a truck. Heck, it's like if you had a truck with a radio and the CB was your entertainment going down the road. And so now there's just so many distractions in the truck. The drivers, they're not paying attention to the tach. They don't know about progressive shifting or none of that stuff. A and B model cat engines plus big cam Cummins mechanical engines are very good. Yeah, I agree. They're great pulling engines and reliable, but just not the fuel economy. Which one, Cash, would you want, the B or the E series? Do you like the computer controlled engines or do you like them prior to the computer? Me, I think they were better before all that. They might be a little more efficient now, but you don't get any efficiency in a shop. Hey, my good friend John Toohey's here. I'm going to drink a little water. I'm starting to lose my voice. And then so whatever advice Tim Back gave him, his idea worked. Tim Back is a great resource for information. Oh, it's a different breed for sure, man. I hear you. Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine in 1996 somebody walking across a truck stop parking lot in their pajamas or with their flip flops and socks on, or the stuff you see now. And I get it, if you're on a 34 and you want to wear flip flops, go for it. But man, these truck stop parking lots with all the potholes and stuff, it looks like a perfect opportunity to stub your toe. And so it's a different breed now. I remember the first time I saw a guy put his feet up on the dash. My wife was with me, and I told her, I said, if he has a wreck, it's going to split him in half. I can't believe he's doing that. He's instantly dead. Even if it's an accident, he would have otherwise survived. especially if he's in a Volvo or a truck with an airbag in the steering wheel. Gliders are being outlawed. I've heard that. Cash says he has automated as well. He lets it run out of he let it run out until the RPMs gets to around 1300. Anything above 1300, his wasted fuel torque curve goes down. I agree with you, but doesn't the exact numbers somewhat depend on the engine itself? Don't different engines have different torque curves? And wouldn't your Freightliner be different than, say, a Volvo or an International or a Cummins or a Packard? I'm assuming you have a Detroit. I remember when Alice Chalmers was made a truck engine, Big Al, a Buddha engine design. Yeah, man, that's way before my time. I'd like to have the 97 FLD. Oh yeah, that would be about like what I started on at Swift. And so yeah, I was saying in a video the other day, um, at the time I thought it was a loaded out truck, and it was probably a mid-level truck back then, but it was nice. I mean, I was poor back then. I was driving a car with no air conditioner, and that you had to pour oil in all the time. And here I was hopping in a truck that had air and the cruise control worked, and I thought I was big time back then. That's a great question. I think all states are doing it now. I don't know for sure. Maybe Cash knows. Um, I didn't have to worry about it. I started in '96 when that's all there was manuals. So I've always been able to drive either one. And I thought it was a joke when I first heard that there was a new endorsement for that now. Can you imagine if they put that same endorsement on cars? And maybe they've got it and I just don't know about it. You don't want those Detroits that was built in China. Well, I think with any truck and with any engine, it's a good idea to look at the reviews and the histories on them before you make a buying decision. Just like we was talking about PACCAR a minute ago. Terrible reputation from 2015 back. A lot of changes were made for the 2016 model years. So you'd want to look at things like that, know that, and know what the problem areas were for the model you're selecting so you kind of know what you're getting yourself into. I took an airbag to the face one time. Can't imagine taking one to the downstairs. Well, worse than that, you're in a position like this being your legs. The airbag pushes your legs up into your face. And I mean, you could break your pelvis, it could split you in half. Also, a deer runs out in front of you, a car pulls out in front of you. It's going to take you a few extra seconds of reaction time to get your feet off the dash and down on the pedals. I can't believe anybody would do it. And I go down the road now and I see guys, the slick thing they do now is they put their phone in front of the speedometer so they think nobody can see it, and they watch Netflix while they're going down the road. And that just can't be a good idea. Glider, you know why? Because the ELD in Florida, if you have a 99 down, you don't need an ELD. Well, that's the way I understand it. That's everywhere but California. California, you can't go at all. But if it's older than, I forget the year model, 2010, I think. But the before 99, the computers aren't compatible with the ELDs, the way I understand it. And I'm sure I've got a couple of the details wrong, and somebody will correct me. But yeah, that's presented some problems in certain areas, especially out in California. Freightliner is doing it too. Oh, Freightliner's got airbags now. I should know that. I had a Freightliner Swift, but I forgot all about it. Soon the automatic transmission restriction will not matter. The manual is dying off fast and fortunate. Yeah, I agree with you. Um, it's a day I never thought would come, but it looks like they look like they're dying off. Well, I hope everybody's watching Trucker Todd, and I hope that while you're sleeping at night, my videos are playing muted, so I can get those extra views. But I hope you're not watching while you're driving. I hope you're turning the phone away and just listening. And then if we show something visual, a chart or graph or something, you can go back in the replay and watch that later. Most of this ain't visual. It's just me reading your comments and responding and telling you what's going on this week, where I'm at, where I'm headed. So you don't need to see my ugly mug for that. But anyway, I hope you're all being safe out there. But that is funny, by the way. Little more water for the sore throat while y'all are topping away. We're at the 2.5 hour marker coming up on it. We may wrap it up soon. Todd is coming with a book soon. What's the book going to be about? Because I struggle to come out with 2 videos a week. And now I'm trying to do a political channel too. I'm not sure what I'm going to write in the book, but y'all give me some ideas. I'll write one. No, I don't have my piano tonight. It's in the other sleeper. Things today's breed won't get: air assist steering, 3 brake knobs, front brake limiting valve, and air starters. Yeah, those cab overs had air wipers, and when the wipers would go, they go whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. You could hear the air. They were kind of cool. Remember, the first time I turned them on, I was like, "What the heck is this?" Also, instead of power windows, they were air controlled. I wonder how many of y'all remember air controlled windows. There wasn't a motor in there. Somehow it had airbags and it would go up and down. Life behind the horizon. You're crunk up. Man, my tongue's getting tied tonight. Your crazy uncle says, "Good night, y'all. Good night, your crazy uncle. Thanks for hanging out with us." I think we're circling the drain, getting ready to wrap this up. Uh, but uh, but I appreciate you coming in here tonight, my friend. Yeah, I'll get you an advance copy of the book. Just tell me what to write it about. By the way, when we start the membership thing, how many of y'all are going to sign up for that? Maybe you're shy to say right now, but we're gonna have that going here pretty quick. Red knob, yellow knob, blue knob. I barely remember that. My first trucks didn't have it, but I've seen older kind of classic trucks that had it. And I couldn't honestly tell you what the blue knob does. That's before my time. Remember when Cat made 1718 motor? Nope, that's before my time too. You guys can educate me. Ramon says he's in for the membership. Good deal. As long as there's one of you willing to participate, I'll do it. I don't want to make videos and content nobody's gonna watch. But if y'all are in, I'll put it out. Okay. I think we've hit a good stopping point. I appreciate everybody being here tonight. We'll see you Thursday night at 5 p.m. Central. Thank y'all for coming in here tonight. Y'all have a great week. Be careful out there. If you miss part of the show, watch it in the replay. Two more comments come in. I don't want to leave anybody out. Says would prefer a cat motor with a Cummins Jake brake. Yeah, I think that's a good way. Cummins always had a good Jake. And Ramon says, have a good night, my friend. Yes, sir. You too. Thank y'all for being here. Thank you for giving me your time. We'll catch you on the next one. Y'all be nice to each other. Good night.